Marianne Williamson on the line with us, running for Henry Waxman's old seat in the California's 33rd district in the U.S. House of Representatives. Henry has announced he is retiring. Marianne's running as an independent. Her website, marianne4forcongress.com. Jerry in Long Island, New York, listening to WBAI. Hey, Jerry, you're on the air with Marianne.
Yeah, thanks very much for taking my call. It's my pleasure to be speaking with your guest, Marianne. I have a comment and a question. First of all, let me comment very quickly that first, I think what your guest is doing is absolutely great, especially because I agree with her that both political parties, both major political parties, they're too greatly influenced by corporate special interests. And so I do believe that the Democratic Party needs more progressive political competition from progressive, truly independent candidates like your guest there. And that leads me to my question, which has to do with getting the money out of politics. And we know your solution, Tom, is to pass a constitutional amendment that would simply say that money is not speech and that corporations are not people. I think we need something more sophisticated because my concern is that if you simply ratify a constitutional amendment into law that only forbids the 5 justices from using First and 14th Amendment arguments to justify corporations flooding our political system with corporate money and buying politicians, then these 5 corporate justices, the corporate, in my opinion, will just come up with other legal arguments to justify a pro-corporate ruling on campaign spending, which is why I think we need a constitutional amendment that specifically makes both campaign finance reform and lobbying reform a basic fundamental right of we the people. But my question to you would be, what is your solution, Marianne, or what would your solution be to get money out of politics?
Well, I agree, and thank you so much, Jerry. I agree totally with Tom that what is needed is a constitutional amendment to outlaw the undue influence of money from our politics and to establish that corporations do not have the rights of personhood. Now, what you brought up about the First and the 14th Amendments were very interesting. I don't know about riders to amendments. That got a little fuzzy for me when you said that. But the hope, of course, would be that such an amendment, as we're talking about, would then free Congress to pass legislation to establish public funding for federal campaigns. So whether or not there should be a rider, part of this is a cultural shift, too, because in addition to the constitutional amendment, it wasn't just that we abolished slavery. It was that there was a consensus among Americans that slavery was intolerable. And that's what we need to get to here. There also has to be a shift in the thinking of people. The American mind has to come to grips with the fact that money is the undue influence of money on our politics is, for all intents and purposes, the dismantling of democracy itself. That we are transitioning from a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, to a government of a few of the people, by a few of the people, and for a few of the people. We're making a mockery of the Gettysburg Address here. So what the specifics should be in terms of how the constitutional amendment should be written, I'm not sure. Obviously, that's a big conversation. I agree with Tom. Not sure about what you said about the riders. I will certainly be thinking about what you said. But I do know, because of what you said, it's going to take more than an amendment. It's going to take a journey of the American mind to really wake up to what a de-democratization is represented by the undue influence of money. And once the American mind really wakes up to that, we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay no matter what the wording is.
Yvonne in Bellevue, Washington, listening on KBCS. You're on the air with Marianne Williamson.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Marianne. Tom, I listen to your program all the time.
Thank you.
And I thank you for your comments. I was listening to NPR this morning, and there was a discussion about killing another American, and I think this is in Afghanistan.
By drone, you mean?
Drones.
Yeah.
By targeting the individual cell phone to kill them. The NSA is triangulating these cell phones and then using bombs. I was curious about Marianne would think how does this square with the dignity of the United States and human rights? And what if we're demanding human rights from other countries and we're doing the exact opposite? What's the dignity of the United States, and what does it really stand for if you're going to go and kill people in other countries? via the mass collection of data via the NSA?
Well, there are so many issues involved there, including the NSA getting our own phone data here. I find the idea of domestic surveillance absolutely horrifying. And that, of course, is connected to drones. What you're talking about and the targeting of the individual with their phones reminds me of the drones. I think the drone war is horrible, and I think Americans need to wake up to the possibilities inherent in the fact that drones are on their way to America. So, once these drones are here in the United States, they're going to know any that were used for that technology, would be able to know, who you're sleeping with and what room you just walked into and what you just logged on to on your computer. And that is a very, very serious issue because even though we're being told that the drones are just for Amazon.com, or FedEx or for law enforcement to get the bad guys, I think all of us need to realize that the technology that is used, as you just said, to target people, to kill them in other countries, that same technology could be used, if not to kill people here, then to definitely, just by putting them under surveillance, have a very, very chilling effect on freedom in the United States. So the larger conversation about the U.S. war machine, which is really, the fact that they use one data from a cell phone to kill one person in Afghanistan. That's just one detail. The larger conversation is what we need to be having, including the fact that Congress basically just wrung its hands on its constitutional authority to wage war by giving the kind of authorization that it has given to the president. So we need a deeper look at the entire way that we have pretty much a permanent war machine that is at the behest of one man who gets to just pretty much do what he wants with it. And as long as that kind of almost absolute authority is given to anybody, whether it's a cell phone or anything else, there's some real dangerous potential there.
Marianne Williamson. Marianne, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much.
Great talking with you. Marianne's website is marianneforcongress.com. Check it out.